The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Prepared for radio in 13 episodes by Brian Sibley. With Ian Holm, Michael Hordern and Robert Stephens. Episode 2, adapted by Brian Sibley, The Black Riders.
One trouble after another.
And what's wrong with old Maggot? He's a good friend to all the brandybucks. Of course, he's a terror to trespassers and keeps ferocious dogs. But after all, folk down here are near the border and have to be more on their guard.
All the same, I'm terrified of him and his dogs. And I've avoided his farm for years and years.
Why is that, Mr. Frodo?
Well, he caught me trespassing after mushrooms several times when I was a youngster. And on the last occasion, he beat me and then took me and showed me to his dogs. "See, lads," he said, "next time this young varmint sets foot on my land, you can eat him. Now see him off." And they did. And I've never got over the fright.
Well, then, it's time you made it up.
Come on, lads.
Don't worry, Mr. Frodo. I won't let this farmer Maggot do you no harm. If he tries, he'll have Sam Gamgee to reckon with.
Thank you, Sam.
Hello, and who may you be? And what may you be wanting?
Good afternoon, Mr. Maggot.
Well, if it isn't Master Pippin, Mr. Peregrine Took, I should say.
Yes.
It's lucky for you that I know you. I was just going out to set my dogs on any strangers. There are some funny goings-on today. Of course, we do get queer folk wandering in these parts at times, too near the river. But this fella was the most outlandish I ever set eyes on.
Which fellow do you mean?
Well, then you haven't seen him. Oh, he went up the lane not a long while back. Oh, he was a funny customer. He was asking funny questions. Oh, but, well, perhaps you'll come inside and we'll pass the news more comfortably. I have to drop a good ale on tap if you and your friends are willing, Mr. Took.
Yes, well...
What about the dogs?
They won't harm you. Not unless I tell them to. Here, Grip, Fang. Here, Wolf.
Can I introduce my friends? This is Sam Gamgee.
How do you do, Sam?
How do you do? Mr. Maggot.
And this is Mr. Frodo Baggins. You may not remember him, but he used to live in Buckland.
Well, if that isn't queerer than ever. Mr. Baggins, is it? Oh, come inside. We must talk.
Well, Sam, this makes up for missing the golden perch, eh?
Yes, I suppose so, Mr. Peregrine.
I'm afraid Sam here is rather suspicious of you, Farmer Maggot. Well, you see, I told him the last time I came to visit you, you gave me a beating to remember you by.
Well, Sam, I'm sorry I beat your master, but he shouldn't have gone thieving my mushrooms. Oh, I remember you, Mr. Baggins. Anyway, that's all in the past. And it wasn't mushrooms I was thinking of when Mr. Peregrine told me your name, Mr. Frodo. You see, I had just heard the name of Baggins before you turned up.
How was that, Mr. Maggot?
Well, it was like this. This funny customer came riding in at the gate on a big black horse and right up to my door. All black he was himself, too, and cloaked and hooded up as if he did not want to be known. "Good day to you," I says, going out to him. "This lane don't lead anywhere, and wherever you may be going, your quickest way will be back to the road." The black fellow sat quite still, and then pointing back west, over my fields, if you please, he said, "I come from yonder. Have you seen Baggins?" "Oh, be off," I said. "There are no Bagginses here. You're in the wrong part of the Shire. You'd better go back west to Hobbiton. You can go by road this time." "Baggins has left," he answered in a whisper. "He is coming. He is not far away. I wish to find him. If he passes, will you tell me? I will come back with gold." "Oh, no, you won't," I said. "You'll go back where you belong, double quick. I give you 1 minute before I call all my dogs." They gave a sort of hiss. Oh, it might have been laughing and it might not. Then he spurred his great horse right at me, and I jumped out of the way only just in time. I called my dogs, but he swung off and rode through the gate like a bolt of thunder. Now, what do you think of that?
I don't know what to think.
Well, it's as plain as my nose that no accident brought you and that rider here on the same afternoon. And maybe my news was no great news to you after all. I'm not asking you to tell me anything you have a mind to keep to yourself, but I see you're in some kind of trouble.
Yes, I'm afraid I may be. And since I must try to get to Crick Hollow before dark, we must be going.
Drink up, Sam. We're off again.
Look, Mr. Frodo, I've a notion. It's nearly sundown, and we're going to have our supper. Mrs. Maggot's cooking bacon and mushrooms. I dare say you still have a liking for mushrooms, Mr. Baggins. Anyway, we'd be pleased if you could all stay and have a bite with us.
Well, and so should we, but... Well, really, you see,
No, wait a minute. I was going to say, after a bit of supper, I'll get out our small wagon, and I'll take you on your way. And that'll save you a step, and it might also save you trouble of another sort.
Thank you, Mr. Maggot. That would be most kind.
It didn't take much to change his mind, did it? Bacon and what was it?
Mushrooms.
Yes, of course.
This mist is going to get worse, I'm thinking. But I'll not light my lanterns till I turn for home. We'll hear anything on the road long before we meet it.
You know, Farmer Maggot, I've been in terror of you and your dogs for over 30 years, though you may laugh to hear it. It's a pity, for I've missed a good friend.
Well, you should never have gone getting yourself mixed up with Hobbiton folk. I shouldn't be surprised if this trouble you're in now hasn't come from those strange doings of Mr. Bilbo. Anyway, I'm glad you've had the sense to come back to Buckland, and my advice is, stay here. Whoa there! Oh, someone's coming.
You'd better be hidden, Mr. Frodo. Get down in the wagon, cover up the blankets. We'll soon send this rider to the right abouts.
Hello there. Now then, don't you come a step nearer. What do you want? Who are you?
Why, it's me, Mr. Maggot.
Oh, Mr. Merry!
Yes, of course. Who did you think it was?
You can come out, Frodo. It was only Mary.
Thank goodness for that.
What's all this about? And where did you find them, Mr. Maggot? In your duck pond?
Oh, I call them trespassing. Oh, but they'll tell you the story, I've no doubt. Well, it's been a queer day and no mistake, but all's well that ends well, though perhaps we should not say that till we reach our own doors. Oh, there now. I was nearly forgetting. Mrs. Maggot put this up for Mr. Baggins with her compliments.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Maggot.
Well, good night to you all.
Good night, Mr. Maggot.
Good night.
What's in the basket, Frodo?
Mushrooms, if I'm not very much mistaken.